recently we were actually asked by the elders of this community to take our livestock away. At the moment, we've tried everything. We've spoken to the Great Ministry, we've spoken to everybody that we can, and they said no. So we are pushed to the wall to basically abandon and evacuate everything that we can, liquidate everything that we can. So we actually had to sell all our livestock.
What would you do if the very community where you were raised, where you learned your values, norms, received your basic education to become who you are, turns its back on you after you have done your bit to give back to it by building a 3-classroom block for its government school and gone ahead to build another private school to ensure children are educated?
I was raised here, and you know, we grew up with goats, we grew up with livestock. I came back, I wanted to, you know, improve. I started with education. The first school I built here was for the government, so a Roman school. So I built a 3-classroom block for the government school. Then went ahead to build another school, which is now educating like almost 700 students in this community. And the farm idea actually came from the school. You know, it was something to feed the school with.
What would you do if this same community overlooks millions of Ghana cedis in investments spanning 5 years that has created jobs, sustained livelihoods, ensured families have food on their table daily, clothes on their backs, and literally contributed to the community's economic fortunes, suddenly decides your investments are not enough reasons for the gods to spare you, but insist that your over 5 years business is actually a taboo and you should be up and packing in 2 weeks or face the wrath of the traditional leaders?
I grew up here, and even though we know, for example, dogs at some point, not at some point, dogs are a taboo in this community, but we all have dogs. I grew up with a dog. As far as goats are a taboo, but we've always have goats. I grew up with goats. There were goats in this community everywhere.
A taboo that had only been in words for decades, but suddenly when you decide to invest in your community, the gods claim they care more about upholding this taboo than the livelihoods of the very people they are supposed to empower and protect. This was the fate of a young man from Senase, a community in Berekum in the Bono Region of Ghana, and could be the fate of any other person living in an African community where traditional laws and customs are retrogressive than progressive.
I was actually engaging with one of the butchery shops in Berekum, and I asked them, like, are you guys still killing goats? And they said, yeah, they are very expensive now. That was yesterday. And I asked him, also, how many goats are you killing now every day? So it's about 20. Wow. And I was like, so you bring them from somewhere, you kill them in this community? And he said yes. And I was like, okay.
Isn't it high time we had real talk with our African gods and put them to task for mutual benefit? They surely have a role to play in our collective development, and they must help create an enabling environment where traditional beliefs, laws, and taboos are for a definite purpose of growth and development.
If we want to develop, we will need to find a compromising way to balance our traditions and the development that is coming with it.
Our traditional leaders need to understand that this generation, especially Generation X, would not want to have anything to do with the traditional system that would not inspire development in any sense of the word.
Later 2023, you know, I started constructing the biggest goat pen in the whole of Africa. I'm still in the process of finishing that, and that is such a huge loss. At the moment where it is, I have actually spent more than 500,000 on that project. And the way I look at it is, Senase is a very small community. That 500,000 that I spent in less than 2 months, within a short period, went directly into that community. That money went into the carpenter's pocket, went into the mason's pocket, went into the laborer's pocket, went into various people that sold things for us to be able to build that. And that money then left their pocket into different people. So in this small community, in 2 months, had 500,000 within us that we were moving around as a community. I don't think that happens every day in this community. And that's what brings development, right? This farm here, I've invested millions of cedis, and I never bring anybody from Accra to come and take care of the goats or build our structure, or I don't buy my things from Accra unless we don't have it here. So all these millions of cedis that I've invested into this farm were invested into the community, and people's life got better because of that. So that's what initiatives and projects like this bring. But if we don't look at those things and we decide to stick only with the tradition, then we as a community are also not going to develop. And to me, that is big, because even if we do relocate in a month, in 3 months, in 1 year, we are not only relocating our goats, but we are relocating our investment.
If Africa needs to rise from the ashes of underdevelopment and economic dependency on the West, then the responsibility does not only lie on the government, but in every single individual, and in this case, traditional leaders, traditional customs, and traditional gods. The customs, traditional practices, and taboos must be progressive and not retrogressive. They must unite us and not disperse us. They should inspire emotional investment and not apathy if we want the generations now and the generations to come to uphold our African traditions, customs, and taboos. Africa is the only continent we have, and Africa must win.